Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Welcome and thank you very much for joining me at for our usual Thursday get-together. Ang pangalan ko po, Lira Simon Kabatbat of Douglas Simon Solicitors. Welcome to Lira in Law. No, it's strange, no? June na tayo. It is, and it was really warm, no? Alam niyo naman, no? It was so warm. Was it last week? No? For a few days nga. Ngayon malamig na naman. What weather we have. But there you go. Must not grumble, as they say. Must not grumble. Thank you very much nga for joining me. As usual, we have a great show, no? And this is in large part to those people nga who have very kindly written in, no, with your mga questions nyo. So kung meron kayong mga questions nga, it's not too late. By all means, email me now. Otherwise, as long as you email me by next Wednesday, then of course pag-uusapan natin. So we have a great topic. Well, we have a few actually great topics dahil mga taong sumulat nga. So we're going to deal with their questions, of course, as much as we can. So for those newbies, no, you've just joined, new to our show, ang pangalan ko po, as I've said, is Lira Simon Kabatbat. Abogado po ako of, my gosh, I have to always think back because it always takes my breath away when I say the number of years I've been qualified, post-qualification experience as a solicitor nga of 34 years. I know. 34 years post-qualification experience. I can't believe it. Time goes fast when you're having fun. And you know, in a strange way, it is fun. No, but truly, I don't mean it in that it's law is a serious matter, and the problems you deal with in law, of course, are even more serious. And of course, your responsibility as a solicitor to do the best for your client. Of course, that is all serious nga. But from a personal point of view, I enjoy it. No, I enjoy it, and I hope that comes across. And so I hope that you're able to join me for tonight nga and throughout. And kung meron kayong mga kaibigan o mga kamag-anak nga that you think may be helped by our show, share it. No, share our link. Sharing is caring. No, so I hope that you'll find tonight, like every night, every Thursday night nga, of help to you. And I say again, kung meron kayong mga questions nga, you want to deal with it, as long as you email me by next Wednesday nga, we'll try and deal with it. So truly, it's I really like our questions nga this evening. Not least because ang star question po natin for change is actually not immigration. I mean, the other questions are mainly immigration. There are other issues, but the topic nga tonight is, what is a lasting power of attorney? Now, a lot of you, I mean, in the past nga, people ask me, power of attorney para sa Pilipinas. It's not like that. Okay, so this is a lasting power of attorney, often shortened LPA. Itong star question natin nga, it's to do with with someone who is married to a British citizen nga in the United Kingdom. Matagal na nga sila. I'll read to you the question in a moment, and then there's an LPA. It seems hindi siya kasama, and so what would happen now? No. So, what does that mean? And kung mamatay nga yung asawa niya, ano bang ibig sabihin? So, it's a very relevant topic, and that's why I'm very much grateful. I'm very much like nga this topic. That it's not it affects an awful lot of people. So, kung nandito nga kayo, dito kayo nakatira, it doesn't have to be na matanda kayo, matanda ng asawa mo. It could be that they become incapable of dealing with their finances nga or their health, even though they may be quite young. Ano mangyayari? No? And in many respects, an LPA, a lasting power of attorney, can be more important than a will. Alam niyo din, no? A will deals with assets nga or the estate after your death. But the LPA will deal with assets whilst you're still alive. And so in many ways, that's more important dahil kung may sakit nga kayo, no? So I'm very grateful to the viewer nga who posted this question. And if you're watching, salamat po. Okay, and we're going to deal with your question as a star question, which means that we're going to look at it in quite a bit more detail than the others. Okay. Now, let me just read to you the question nga. So it's hopefully you can see it on your screen. So itong sabi niya, I would like to seek legal advice. Now, let me stop there. This is not legal advice, okay? But what I hope you to be able to provide is at least point you in the right direction nga, okay? To provide proper legal advice. And ang payo ko, you should seek, or your friend should seek, proper one-to-one legal advice, because it's quite a complex area of law, no? And there may be other things also to consider. I mean, you'll see when I read the question in full. So I'm happy to, as I say, at least make a start. But this is too general. Kailangan niya ng tulong nga. You can book a one-to-one meeting on a fixed fee interview, no? So alam niya, okay, itong kailangan yung bayaran. It shouldn't be very much either. So it's a fixed fee interview, as I say. You pay once, and then the solicitor should be able to at least point you in some direction nga, no? Now, okay, so having said that, let me read the question. So sabi niya dito, I would like to seek legal advice. The caveat, I say again, on behalf of a friend. She's been married to a British citizen for 11 years. But unfortunately, she was not included in her husband's lasting power of attorney, LPA, which means she has no access to his bank accounts and is unable to make healthcare or welfare decisions on his behalf. In the event, so that's the first part of the question, in the event that her husband passes away, would the LPA automatically become invalid? As his legal spouse, would she be entitled to receive his pension benefits, or would this depend on any beneficiary nominations and the specific rules of the pension provider? Again, great point. We would greatly appreciate any guidance on her legal rights and what steps she may need to take to protect her interests. Thank you in advance for your advice. Excellent question. No, because it's dealing with the LPA itself, the lasting power of attorney, its validity, when would it become invalid or be terminated, legal spouse, pension benefits, wills even, no? What happens when if he should die now? Okay, so yun ang pag-uusapan po natin mamaya. So it's a great question, truly. Hindi lang yung pag-uusapan natin, by the way. Okay, so even though of course it's not directly related to immigration, the other questions are, so pag-uusapan natin ngayon, skilled worker route, dependents nga, visit visa, a whole host of things. So I hope you'll be able to join me throughout nga. And I say again, kung meron kayong mga kaibigan, kamag-anak nga, who you think who may benefit nga from looking at our show, share it. No, sharing is caring. Now we're going to take a quick break. Saglit nga lang po. We're going to come back and plow into our wonderful question. Saglit nga lang po. Be right back. Welcome back po. Welcome back. Welcome to Lira in Law. I am your host, Lira Simon Kabatbat of Douglas Simon Solicitors. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, going back to our topic nga, no? So, ang topic po natin nga ngayon is what is a lasting power of attorney? And this comes, the topic comes from one of you, no, one of our viewers nga. So, ang sitwasyon nga niya, married to a British citizen for 11 years, so long marriage. Unfortunately, she was not included, sabi niya, no, in her husband's lasting power of attorney, which means that there is probably a lasting power of attorney, hindi nga lang siya kasama. So sabi nga niya, she can't access his bank accounts or make healthcare or welfare decisions on his behalf. Now, question nga din niya, would the LPA or become invalid should the husband pass away? Kung dahil asawa nga siya, legal spouse, ano mangyayari sa pension? If there's pension, for example, na is there a kind of beneficiary nomination o sa kanya ba? Because she's the spouse. So yun ang tanong. So it's a great question because it's not it's very relevant, no? I think I've been doing this for 34 years now. This is the busiest we've been in relation to LPAs, lasting power of attorney. Dahil maraming mga tao nga, they appreciate that it's probably important to appoint people nga who you trust, to take care of you should you no longer be able to do so. So, now, tingnan natin from the top. What is an LPA? Ano bang ibig sabihin? Now, LPA stands for Lasting Power of Attorney. Okay? It's a legal document. It allows you, for example, kung ikaw ang donor, yeah. So yung applying this to the viewer nga. So the donor here is yung asawa. Okay? Now, of course, yung asawa nga niya, he would have had to make an LPA whilst he still had the capacity to do so, the mental capacity to do so, right? If they lose their mental capacity, so not necessarily comatose, but they're no longer able to make their decisions, so confused, for example, sometimes dementia to the point that they can't really make decisions anymore. So kung ganoon, then it's too late. You can't make an LPA anymore because then you no longer have the capacity, the mental capacity to make an LPA. But it's a legal document, as I say. So the donor, in this case yung asawa nga niya, appoints someone else, they're called the attorney. So of course, hindi nga siya, to make decisions on his behalf if he's no longer able to do so. Okay? So kung sakit nga niya, ibig sabihin hindi na siya pwedeng, he can't make decisions. It doesn't even have to be permanent. Okay? It could just be maybe for the moment she's suffering from delirium, no? But it will go. But in the meantime, he can't make decisions. The LPA can kick in. There are essentially two types of LPA, and most of my for most of my clients, I say to them, you should execute both. Okay, the reason for that is the two help the other out. No, one LPA is necessary for the other often. So the two types of LPA is finance, pera, basically, okay, and anything related to money, and health, completely separate forms and separate fees. The fees, by the way, is £92 per LPA. So if you're doing it yourself, you complete it, tapos ipapadala nyo, you need to register it with the Office of the Public Guardian, the OPG. If you're going to do that, then you need to send them a check for £92 times 2. Right? Now, LPAs, as I say, mahaba ngayon. It's quite complex in the way it needs to be executed. No? So you have attorneys. So let's deal with that. So sabihin natin ako, no, I want to appoint someone as my attorney under an LPA. I would need to, while I'm still have the mental capacity to do so, yun ang unang-una, I would need to find someone who I know I trust. Okay? Importante yun. because these people will have access potentially to your bank account, and make financial decisions for you. It could be even long term, kung sakit nyo is long term. But even more important, yung attorney nyo in relation to health would have the power to also make decisions about your health, and that can be that is crucial. So if you are thinking of appointing an attorney, it should be really someone who you know fairly well and absolutely you trust. Okay, at saka kilala kayo so that they know what you may want to happen. Okay, if the worst were to happen, that is, you're no longer able to deal with your finances and indeed health. So going back specifically to the two types nga. So finances, ibig sabihin kung bank account nyo, yung viewer natin sabi niya no access to his bank account. Yeah, absolutely. If you don't have an LPA, then the bank will not talk to you. They will say, no, we can't deal with you because you do not have an LPA. Same goes for, say, sabihin natin, meron kayong mortgage, may bahay kayo, meron kayong mortgage, may sakit ka. So, hindi ka nga, the mortgage payment must stop. Kailangan may kausapin yung banko to say to them, okay, may problema nga, but it's not gonna last. O kaya, in the meantime, we can make this payment nga. So, kung wala kang attorney, then there's no one to talk to them on your behalf. Also, things like if you have investments. So I've dealt with people who have, say, buy-to-let properties. Nagkasakit nga yung tao, the LPA would then kick in, so that the attorney could then talk nga to the agents, about getting new tenants. So importante nga yon. So that's finance. So someone then is in charge of your finances if necessary. At saka importante nga din, of course, kung sabihin natin nasa care home ka, because you're not you can't deal with your affairs, at least for the time being. Sino magbabayad? It's one thing to have your money, and certainly I've dealt with cases where there are lots of money, but they can't access it, in the absence of an LPA. So ibig sabihin, there's money sitting there, no one can access it, which means that the care home, maybe even one that is of your choice, will not get paid, which means that you may need to be moved. So importante po ito. So the LPA can certainly deal with finances. And of course, it is linked to your health. So kung may problema, so sabihin natin, kailangang operahan ka. And the hospital is looking to make a decision what would be best. Should they operate or even not operate? Kung meron kang attorney for health, then they can speak on your behalf, speaking out with the doctors and get the information, and then make the decision potentially for you. Because sometimes people say, well, in that state, I don't want to be operated on. But it could be that the hospital has a different view. Or indeed your doctor. One of the things that doctors may, a GP, surgeries, ask if you're dealing with someone else, especially kung magulang nyo nga, matanda na sila, and they're maybe not able to readily deal with their health nga, they will ask you likely, do you have an LPA? So importante nga din yun. So the two go hand in hand, because oftentimes you have to pay for certain things. And of course, that's very important. So so when you're executing LPAs, very rarely, actually, I've not come across, in fact, one situation where my client said, I just want one LPA to do with either money or to do with health. They often, well, actually, have always, taken my advice, and I've always said to them, you need both. LPA, as I say, finance, and LPA for health. Now, attorneys, you can generally, I would say, good idea to have at least two. Okay. You can also have an attorney who will be in charge nga, and then you have alternative attorneys. So if kung ako, if I'm appointed as an attorney, if for whatever reason I can't act, then the second one, my alternate attorney, then would be able to act. No, so you want a backup. Sometimes also it's good to have two who can act what's called jointly and severally. So ibig sabihin, they can act jointly, so they can make a decision together nga, but it doesn't have to be. They can act also individually. Now, importante po yun. I'll give you an example. So, one matter that I had dealt with nga, ang nangyari, dalawang attorney niya, no, nung tao. May nangyari dun sa, and they were appointed to act jointly, not jointly and severally, but jointly. So they have to make decisions together. May nangyari dun sa pangalawa, dun sa isa na attorney. So that meant that the LPA became invalid. So at that point, nung may nangyari nga dun sa isa, the LPA became invalid, and therefore we had to apply for something else. It's called deputyship. That is an application to the Court of Protection for power for the remaining attorney to continue acting. No? To be frank, I don't know why it is that it was ang nangyari nga is they were appointed jointly nga lang rather than jointly and severally. It doesn't necessarily make sense because you see, kung natatakot nga kayo na kung if one can act without the other one, well, if someone is determined to do something bad, then they could probably do that, but it does not divest nga, their responsibility as an attorney. And as long as the other one remain involved, then they can do something about it. So anyway, in that case, we actually had to make an application to the court. In fact, that matter is still ongoing, and it's taken now, I know, the best part of I don't think it's quite a year yet, but it's coming up. So that's costly, and of course it's stressful because in the meantime, yung pera nyo nandun pa rin, hindi magagalaw. So it is quite important that you have nga backup attorneys, and probably better that they can act jointly and severally rather than just jointly. But yung abogado nyo should be able to explain to you anong ibig sabihin, which one is better. Now, if the process normally is the application is completed. It's normally completed nga online. And then kailangan namin, if we prepare LPAs, then kailangan namin who's going to be the attorneys, the main attorney or the main attorneys, plus any backup nga, anyone that you need to inform of your decision nga to make an LPA, because the OPG would then write to them to say, okay, this is the plan by this person nga. It could be helpful that because it means that mga kamag-anak nyo, pamilya nyo, they know that itong plano. Now, also, it's important, of course, that yung attorney nga, that your attorney knows the responsibility that you're giving to them. All right. Ideally, nandito sila dito, so if you're living in the UK, ideally they're also in the UK. With any luck, also not so far away from you. It's a question really of practicalities. Dahil kung nandito ka nakatira, pero ang attorney mo nasa Pilipinas, it may be more difficult then for your attorney to deal with the more practical stuff. I mean, a lot of things are online, so at least that would be something. Now, so yun ang LPA. So as I say, it's registered with the OPG, the Office of the Public Guardian. The fee, if you're preparing it yourself, is £92 per LPA. There are two types: health and finance. Okay, and as I've said, you do need you of course need to ensure that your attorney is happy to act, no, and also they will need to sign the document. Someone will also need to certify that you have lucidity. Normally that's done by doctors, for example. Solicitors can also do it. As a general rule, kami, unless we're absolutely certain there are no issues at all with lucidity, then we would not be the certifier, because normally we would want the doctor, no, in case there's something behind something that we should be concerned with, and we don't know because we're not health specialists. But often you can normally say, certainly for my clients, that they have lucidity. And there's certain questions now, of course, you ask. You need to satisfy yourself that someone who's making an LPA has the mental capacity to make an LPA. Okay? So sabihin natin you are appointed nga. So in this case, yung viewer nga natin, she was not appointed as an attorney. And that, there may be various reasons for that. Hindi naman ibig sabihin na no, she's not trusted or anything like that, or he doesn't think that he was able. So I'll give you an example. Meron kong kliyente, sabi niya sa akin, yeah, I don't want my spouse nga to be an attorney because kung may mangyari sa akin na ganoon, no, buhay pa ako, but I can't deal with things. I don't want her to be more stressed than I know she would be, no? Which was quite sweet, no? Pero yun ang dahilan niya. So for that reason, he said, I would want my two good friends to look out for her, you know, to look after my assets, at least for that time. You know? So that is what he wanted. Nga. And it was not because he didn't love her or anything like that, but it was simply that he was looking out nga for her. So siya, dito, yung viewer nga natin, it seems hindi nga siya kasama, hindi nga siya attorney. So tama kayo. Sabi mo dito, no? No access to bank account, unable to make health or welfare decisions on his behalf. Absolutely, that would be correct. But hindi naman ibig sabihin na hindi siya pwedeng magtanong, no? If there are attorneys, you are ikaw ang asawa, you should ask, no? Because if kung yung pera niya, kailangan nagbabayad nga sila for care, the care home, for example, or kaya anything else, no? You should simply ask. You can just ask, well, what's the funding? There's no harm in asking, no? Kung nagdududa kayo, and sometimes this unfortunately happens, no? You think maybe the attorney is not doing things properly, or worse, that they're not doing things that or are doing things that are not in compliance with their duty, no, their fiduciary duty as an attorney. Then you should see a solicitor pretty quickly, because you may want to actually stop, the attorney from being instructed as an attorney for your husband's assets. Kung yung problema, you should say something. You should do something about it. And in some cases, nga, you can apply for an injunction. So again, court proceedings. Nga. Now, if the attorney then he doesn't want to act or can't act because they were doing something dodgy, then you may need to apply for what's called deputyship. Complex process nga. And that can be avoided to some extent by having an LPA. But if you don't have an LPA, or somehow it terminates, becomes or invalid, then absolutely you can apply to the court for what's called a deputyship order. It means making an application to the court, and that's a court of protection. Lots of things need to be filed, things from doctors. So, and you also need to say why you're making the application, why are you entitled to make the application, why is it that it should be you rather than anyone else, and have you given notice to people who perhaps would also be interested to become a deputy. So, complicado po. So if you can avoid having to go through that process, you should. But unfortunately, sometimes it's you would need to. So you own. So LPA, as I say, now you can question nga, and you should. No, okay, mahiya. Sometimes na yung mga tayo Oh, nakakahiya, baka magalit nga sila. No, ask the question. Kung nagdududa kayo, ask the question. Okay? Now, question nga din niya, would the LPA automatically become invalid if the husband passes away? Yes, it would terminate upon death. No? So LPA whilst you're alive, yung nga lang you can't deal with your affairs financially or indeed health, for example, because of health issues nga. And as I say, it doesn't have to be a permanent thing. It could be that for 3 months, hindi pwede, you're out of commission, but after that, you're better. In which case, of course, you don't need the LPA for that time already. No? So you only need it for the temporarily. Now, once you die, no? So kung sabihin natin mamatay yung asawa nga niya, once he passes away, then the will, if he has a will, kicks in. Okay? Now, I know yung tanong mo nga, pension rights. I'll come back to that. So whilst you're alive, LPA, when you pass away, then it's your will. The will kicks in. And I hope that he's also, I mean, your legal spouse. I hope that you also benefit now from his estate. If you are left out also from his estate, from his will, no, ang payo ko, you should definitely, I mean, you should anyway, seek legal advice, but definitely seek legal advice, no? Dahil kung wala ka nga doon, hindi ka iniwanan, then you may want to consider whether you have a claim under what's called the Inheritance Provisions Act, no? Dahil asawa ka nga niya, hindi ka iniwanan. No? Sometimes that happens. Well, no, not sometimes. Too frequently it happens. You know? So you may be able to claim because you're a spouse. You know, you are a category of you belong to the category of potential claimants. Not everyone can claim, you know, but it's possible potentially. Yun. Now, going back to your question, pension. Would you then be entitled as the widow, no, to receive pension? Probably. It's the quick answer. But tama ka, it depends very much on the terms of the pension. So some pensions, you nominate nga someone, and they would receive maybe a lump sum because you passed away. No? Sometimes it's there's widows, benefit pension. Yeah. So it depends very much on the terms. Depends also on oftentimes nga, is it are they civil servant, teachers, police, ganoon, okay? Or is it a private pension? Again, depends on that. So kailangan yung makita nga what are the terms of the pension. Tip ko ito, sometimes you may get an idea of what the benefits would be, but by just looking at their website. No? So for example, the police have very good website to do with pension. I mean, of course, there are different types. When did the officers start? When did you marry? No. But we may give you some idea of what it is. But again, of course, this kicks in once he passes away, right? So it's something absolutely you can kind of look around about, but it doesn't mean that it would be specific to your case, okay? But as I say, it could be that you would benefit, but if you're not in the will, or indeed if he didn't leave a will, then he would have died intestate. But put it this way: kung yung asawa mo, he's made an LPA, chances are he's also made a will. Very rarely do I come across people who've made LPA but have not made wills. The other way is fairly common. People make wills but no LPAs. Hindi uso yung LPA. Pero umuuso na nga ngayon. So it's a great question because it absolutely is relevant. Maraming tao nga dito, no? And tayong mga Pinoy, no exception nga, who should address the issue of LPA. And also, of course, the wills nga. Partly also because sometimes nga, wala ditong pamilya nyo, no? So what would happen then? Look, put it this way: if you can appoint attorneys from abroad, it's not terribly convenient, but at least it's something. You know? So kung nag-iisa nga kayo dito, you may want to do that. So they have the power then to ask the bank, to ensure that your mortgage is paid, your rent is paid. Okay. They may want to come over also to just check. And if they're gonna do that, then you may want them to have the authority to speak with the hospital, for example. Okay, so this is a great question. Salamat po. Salamat. I really like this question because, as I say, it's very relevant. It's not something really that people pay enough attention to. So thank you for bringing it to my attention. No, now I think we have time, and I hope may mga bumabati sa atin before we launch into our questions, and we have many. And really interesting ones as well. Miss Rafael! Oh wow! Okay, so I love this photo. Look at the lady. Hello, Attorney Lira, sabi niya, and good evening to all the viewers. Happy Thursday, everyone. Happy Thursday po, madam. How are you? I hope you're well. I hope you're well, and you are here at the moment, obviously. Tignan mo, watching from San Pedro, Laguna. That is dedication, ladies and gentlemen. Nasa Laguna siya. Madaling araw sa atin nga ngayon, no? And she's tuning in. When are you back? When are you coming back? You're coming back, yeah? Okay. You're coming back for Wimbledon. Now, a guy, the great guy from London, a rainy Thursday to Attorney Lira and to the viewers. Working Canary Wharf today, and I'm now ambassador of ating Siopaw Asado. Wow. Siopaw Asado. Wow. It's my dinner now while listening to your lovely voice. He's so charming. You can order on the network link. I can post here. Yeah, with your permission, please do. I'm looking forward to lots of learning. Again, Egg Guy, the great guy. So, Siopaw Asado. Wow. I love Filipino food. I had recently ube cake. No, the only thing that I was going to say, nothing beats ube cake. I love ube cake. The only thing that beats ube cake is ube ice cream. Do you agree? No? Sarap. Lorna Diesta. Good evening, Attorney Lira. Sabi niya, I'm just waiting for a bus home, Miss Diesta. I love her. She's tuning in. She's waiting for a bus home. She's great. I mean, you all are, but sometimes nga tayo, no? Mr. Edgar Duarte. I love this photo of you. It's very James Bond. Magandang gabi. Oh, with a little heart emoji. Sa inyong lahat, lalo na sa inyo, Attorney Literacy. Sa mga nonood. Kamusta po? Are you well? How's the family, sir? I mean, it's probably raining there too, no? Laging umulan nga ngayon. May Tigbao Vargas. Oh, wow. Good evening, sabi niya. Good evening, Attorney Lira and everyone. Happy rainy Thursday. God bless. She's clearly si May, she's clearly logged on live, no? Because it's yung nga umuulan, no? I don't know what happened to the summer. I hope that's not the end of the summer. I enjoyed the heat nga. It was 2 weeks ago. Init, no? And I think I was probably complaining na mainit nga. So that's probably my fault. I must not complain again that it's warm. Now, we have lots of questions nga. So let's launch into our question. We're going to take a break, but we have so many questions we won't. Now, so sabi niya ito. Okay. Oh yeah, I like this one. Magandang araw po, sabi niya. Itatanong ko lang po, sana, kung required po ba ng AOS, it's shortened, it seems to, affidavit of support and guarantee, para po sa mga senior parents ko na may UK tourist visa, o enough po bang pakitan lang ang invitation letter o e-visa share code? Ano-ano pong mga kailangan nga? Salamat po. Okay, so unang-una ito. Meron na silang visit visa, which is great news. Okay? So pagkapapasok sila, they don't need anything else. Pinasok nyo na eh. Meron silang visa. So they don't need another an affidavit of support and guarantee. Absolutely, e-visa share code nga. You don't even need the invitation letter, really. Pero kung ako kayo, practically speaking, ang payo ko, make sure that they have not just on their phone, but on a piece of paper nga yung details mo. So kung harangin nga sila sa airport, sabihin nila, what about this, what about that? So mabibigay nila yung details mo, pwedeng tawagan. I mean, you're probably outside waiting for them anyway. So you don't really need anything. As long as you have a visa nga to enter the United Kingdom as a visitor, you don't really need anything else because yung mga kailangan nila it should already have been given. Now, let me backtrack a bit, but let me go back a little bit, no? If you're making an application though, no, for your mga ibang tao, if you're making an application for your elderly parents to visit you in the UK, yung sabi nga niya, affidavit of support and guarantee, that's one way of calling it, but it doesn't have to be anything also. There's no formal name for it as such. So it can be a letter. So sulat nga lang. It can be a statement, no? Not bank statement, but statement, no? Na pinirma nyo. It can be what sometimes people call an affidavit. All serving the same purpose. That is to provide nga a background. Importante po yung pagka nagpapasok yung application, especially visit visa. Kailangan yung paliwanag nga sa home office, itong background ko. Itong plano namin. Hindi kami mag-overstay sa UK dahil may maganda buhay namin sa Pilipinas, for example, no? Pagka nandiyan kami, ang sasalo sa amin para sa pagkain, no, bahay, titirhan nga, at saka pamasahe, no, would be ikaw, no, yung anak, no? Anong trabaho mo? So, importante po na meron kayong mapapakita nga that shows the background. My observation is it increases your chance of success. Hindi naman kailangan mahaba eh. And be factual, no? And so starting really with saan kayo nakatira? Okay, if you're already retired, anong pension nyo? Meron ba kayong pension? Anong pamilya nga sa atin, no? Anong ginagawa nyo doon? Ang balak nyo pagka nandito na nga kayo? Are you looking to, does it coincide with any holidays, for example, by that I mean Christmas nga po, o kaya birthdays, ganon. Sabihin nyo, it's for you to show that it is a genuine intention to come into the United Kingdom, amongst other things, no? And of course, the other things are, pagka magpapasok kayong application, bank statement, no? Yours and also the sponsor, for example, proof of accommodation, pagka nandito nga kayo, kahit hindi kayo matatagalan, kung meron kayong savings, meron kayong investments nga sa atin. And as I say, tip ko, prepare either, it doesn't matter what you call it, but either a letter of invitation, sometimes it's called affidavit, statement nga, but something nga that explains the position. All right, yon. Good luck. I'm sure they will have a good time because you are here. Yun ang ikaw ang gusto na makita, di ba? Okay? Let me know what happens, yeah? Now, meron pa tayong mga questions, I'm sure. So, ito. Hello po sa inyo. Hello. Yeah? Nag-change po ng bagong sponsorship ang husband ko. Okay. Baling visa po namin dati niyang course, kasama ako sa dependent. So, dependent siya, a skilled worker, no? Okay? And valid pa hanggang October this year. Okay? Ngayon po, nag-apply na siya ng panibagong course at visa. So, nagpalit ng trabaho o magpapalit ng trabaho yung asawa niya, no? Magagamit pa rin po pa namin yung remaining months bago ma-expire ang visa namin o kailangan na rin namin mag-apply ng panibagong visa para sa akin na dependent. Okay, so let's just unpack that a little bit. So, nandito siya, dependent visa siya. Yung asawa niya, skilled worker route, no? Now, magbabagong trabaho ng asawa niya. So, he already has, I hope, no, meron na siyang panibagong cost, certificate sponsorship, and he's going to change employment. So also making an application for a visa nga as for the new employer. Okay, so ang question nga niya, kailangan ba siya mag-apply at the same time, no, as the husband dahil dependent nga siya, o valid pa ba yung visa niya, no? Now, great question. Okay? Now, at saka sabi niya, no, sobrang confused lang po. Then, so yeah, it is actually, tama ka, it is actually confusing because usually, put it this way, no? Usually, kung dependent ka, pagka magbago nga yung visa, magbagong visa, mag-extend yung visa ng main applicant nga, kasama ka. But in this case, it's actually not the case. So, I'm putting aside any yung requirements nga para sa asawa mo, okay? Now, if you're making an application from inside the United Kingdom, and you are, okay? So let me just see if I can make this bit clearer. Let me just read to you what the Home Office guidance say. Now, if you extend or switch your visa, your partner or child's current visa will still be valid until its original date. This is actually all from the Home Office website. Your partner or child need to apply to extend or switch their visa either at the same time as you, so you can do it, okay, or at any time before the current visa expires. Okay. Now, if you're changing, so this bit again, as I say, is from the Home Office website nga mismo. If you're changing employers on a skilled worker visa, your dependence visa does not automatically expire, and they're not legally required to submit a new application when you switch sponsors. Their status is tied to you as the main applicant nga, provided your new leave remains valid. So kung may isang asawa mo, valid nga yun, okay ka pa. So going back to your original question, October pa matatapos ng visa mo, it's fine. It still continues kahit nga nagbago ng visa niya. Yung nga lang, I mean, sometimes clients prefer to apply at the same time, so magkatugma ang visa nila. But it doesn't have to be. You, of course, in this case, it would be, okay, may visa ka pa hanggang October. You will then make an application to, of course, extend your visa before October, bago matatapos ang visa mo, no? Just the only thing I would say with these types of situations nga ngayon, with skilled worker and also cost, ingat kayo, okay? Because there were changes in 2023 and more recently in 2025 to do with the skill level, no? So it's not, depending kung anong trabaho nga niya, it could be that he can't get a cost because it's not the right level, not high enough. So ingat kayo. And of course, that affects you also, okay? So ingat nga kayo. But it doesn't look like it's a problem necessarily because he's been given a cost. Ingat nga lang. Ingat. Now, I'm sure we have some more questions. So let me just have a look for those questions nga. Okay, ito. Hello po, sabi niya. Hello po. Ask ko lang po regarding spouse visa. Kukunin ko po kasi si hubby using spouse visa. Sabay po kami pupunta ng UK. Ano po usually ina-ask na immigration under spouse visa? Do they ask for bank statements po ba? For example, no? Now, citizen po ako. So, you mean citizen as in you're a British citizen siguro, no? Now, let me have a look at that in a bit more detail. So, gusto mong kuning asawa mo, British citizen ka, sabi mo citizen ka, British citizen ka nga dito. Now, anong kailangan mong gawin? Unang-una po, hindi lang na pwede mo siyang dalhin nga dito, no? You actually need to, of course, make an application for spouse visa, no? And it could be, kahit British ka nga, it could be that you find that that takes a while. Now, anong kailangan nga niya? Kailangan niya, so there are quite strict rules for spousal visas. So you need to be able to show income. income means now 29,000 pounds per annum. Okay. Or savings, which I think is something like I can't remember exactly what the savings limit is. It's thousands of pounds. It's 67,000 or something like that now. Now, but as income nga, 29,000 pounds. Now, sabi mo dito, nandun ka sa Pilipinas, no? Tapos, pasok ka nga dito. So, I just wonder, do you have the income? Because 29,000 pounds kailangan mo. That's you, okay? Before tax. Yun ang una. And to prove your income, that you satisfy the minimum income requirement, you need payslip, no? Kung may trabaho ka nga. Or if you're getting that from investments, kailangan pa nga din yun. And the corresponding bank statements. So, gusto na makita, itong income mo, saan pumapasok? Okay? If you're providing evidence of savings, then again, kailangan mo bank statements. Okay? So, importante po yun. So, that would be one thing. Also, of course, accommodation. Because when they say financial requirement, it's two-pronged. That is money, income nga, and accommodation. And of course, kailangan mo pakita na yes, you are validly married, no? And you kailangan mo din pakita that you have, of course, a genuine relationship, no? And that he intends to come to the UK to be with you. So all those things you need to be able to tick the boxes. And also, don't forget, dahil manggagaling nga siya sa Pilipinas, kailangan niya yung TB certificate that he doesn't have TB, no? Tuberculosis. And also the English language, which I think the level at the moment is still A1. I just need the reason I hesitate now is lots of changes are happening to do with English language requirement. I think it's still A1. Frankly, kung kaya niya, I would just, if you haven't done it already, I'd go for the A2 because it's probably also it's going to be more useful for the subsequent application potentially, and also pagka naghahanap siya ng trabaho dito, it's more impressive for an employer that he has a certificate, an A2 certificate. Frankly, if he can do even higher than A2, then even better. Yeah, I think after A2, the usual thing could be B1. No, so you're on. So now, you would need to make sure nga na maybe na you can show those before he would get a visa. No? Let me know what happens, okay? Let me know what happens. Now, meron pa tayong mga questions, I'm sure. Sandali nga lang. Let me have a look. Okay. This is also a good one, no? All the questions are great, but this usually results to confusion, no? So I'm glad it was raised. So my husband is currently in the UK on a dependent visa, which is due to expire in January next year. He still needs approximately 1 more year before becomes eligible to apply for ILR. ILR stands for indefinite leave to remain. I was naturalized as a British citizen earlier this year, and I'm now a bit confused about the correct route for extending his visa. Could you please advise on what type of visa extension he should apply for, which application form needs to be completed, and whether he'll be required to pay the IHS, the Immigration Health Surcharge, again? For context, when he first came to the UK, he was granted a dependent visa while I was in the process of obtaining my ILR, and I've since become a British citizen. Any guidance would be appreciated. Now, she doesn't say, but I suspect she was here as a skilled worker. Okay? So, nangyari nga, just to maybe put it into context, nandito yung asawa niya, as a dependent nga niya. He entered the United Kingdom when he presumably still had leave to remain as a skilled worker nga. In the meantime, time passed and she got indefinite leave to remain. And now she's now also naturalized, so British na nga siya. So in the meantime, yung asawa niya, dependent pa rin nga ang visa niya, dependent of a skilled worker. So gusto niyang malaman nga what type of visa extension, no, should he apply for, and would he still need to apply pay for the Immigration Health Surcharge again? Yes, is the quick answer to the second issue. But let me read to you the relevant provision. Okay, it's immigration under the immigration rules. So if you go looking it up, you can Google it. So immigration rules SW, short for skilled worker, 29.1, para 29.1. Let me read it to you. So subject to 29.1A, the applicant must be the partner of a person where one of the following applies, and it lists three things. Okay. A, partner has permission on the skilled worker route. Now, no longer applies to you because you're British now. Or partner is at the same time applying for and is granted enter clearance or permission on the skilled worker route. So, kung galing kayo sa Pilipinas, papasok nga kayo dito. Or, and this is the bit that applies to you, C, okay? So, it's SW 29.1C, immigration rules nga. P, P is in the partner, ikaw nga, no? Is settled. Actually, sorry, I'm distracted because I think it's actually the guidance as opposed to the rule. Anyway, just Google SW 29.1 C, okay, and put skilled worker, and it'll come up. So, or the partner settled or has become British citizen, providing the partner had permission on the skilled worker route when they settled, and the applicant had permission as persons or the partner or the person's partner at the time. So kung ikaw, in your case, kung dumating ka dito as a skilled worker, you had that, no? And then you applied for settlement nga, and then you became British on that basis, and yung asawa mo pumasok dito based on the fact that you are you had skilled worker, you were a skilled worker nga, he can apply nevertheless for extension on that basis. Question more, would he still need to apply for so it's the same form that you completed essentially before. Would he still need to pay for IHS? Yes, he still needs to pay for the IHS. No, unless of course he can apply for indefinite leave to remain. So if he's completed 5 years already, or will then what he will pay is not IHS but the higher fee for the Home Office. I like this question because ito maraming mga tao nalilito, and I can see that because in relation to one of the other questions nga, no, it's a bit strange, you know, you're no longer you're no longer here as a skilled worker. In fact, you're now British nga, no? Why would your husband apply still under this route? But anyway, that's what they say. They may be subject to change, but at the moment, yung ang batas, yun ang proseso. Now, I hope that was I think that was it in the way of questions nga, no? May nangangamusta sa atin. Mariam Galicia Paner, no? Hello po, Attorney Lira, at sa lahat, happy Thursday po. Happy Thursday po. Happy Thursday, Ms. Paner. Are you well? I love this picture, no? Are you well? Mahaba pang buhok mo. Hindi ko nakikita nga dito. I hope you're well and that you're inside dahil umuulan po sa labas ngayon. And I hope you've eaten. Hindi pa ako kumakain. I'm a bit hungry now, actually. And I still have a little bit of ube cake left. Someone very kindly made some ube cake nga for me. So I'm going to have that later on for my pudding. Actually, you know, I may even have it for my dinner. I've been known. I have been known. Joy Escarino. Madam, hello. Thank you very much for tuning in. No, good evening, Attorney Lira, sabi niya, no. I'm happy to see you again. And likewise, Madam. I hope you're well. No, I hope you're well and the family are okay. Always a joy to see you, albeit remotely. Now, Thank you very much po. No, gosh, no, time has, it always truly flies by because I so enjoy being with you, and I hope that you found it helpful. I say again, sharing is caring. So meron kayong mga kaibigan, kamag-anak, or to be frank, if they say you think they would interest them rather than they necessarily need it, share our content nga. And on that note, salamat po to the Facebook groups for allowing us to post our contents on their pages. Thank you very much. Absolutely, thank you to the viewers, especially for taking the time to post your questions. Don't forget, post if you email me your questions by next Wednesday. I'll try and deal with it. You never know, you might get some serious bragging rights. And be the star question, no? And I ask again, yung mga tao, kung nalilito kayo, nagdududa nga kayo, you have questions nga, the best I can do is, as I say, hopefully point you in the right direction nga, but nothing beats independent one-to-one legal advice, and you can obtain that by fixed fee nga, no? So you know exactly what you're going to pay, and most listers offer that also. Okay, so do it rather than worrying about it or getting it wrong. No? Now, I hope you'll be able to also join me next week for our usual Thursday get together. Just leaves me really to say, salamat po uli. I hope to see you next week, same time, same place. Good night.